I think I'm saying that we struggle all our lives to answer it. But it's the struggle that is important. That's what helps us to define our place in the universe.
This is Beverly, Dr. Beverly, Dr. Beverly Crusher.
Look where we are. Here, all of us, in this moment. So let's do what we spent our entire lives learning to be great at.
And this is Crusher Convo. And welcome to Crusher Convo, where we're crushing the conversation one episode at a time. Today's conversation, I sit down with actor David Jones, who has not only survived the War of Jagal on Strange New Worlds, but survived Philippa Georgiou's wrath on Section 31. Welcome, David, and thanks for joining me today.
Hey, Jesse, thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Thank you. So, one of the things that I did want to mention with all of this is that you went from a model to an actor, correct?
Correct.
So what was it about acting that inspired you to pursue it?
A bunch of friends. I've been in a bunch of magazines and stuff of that, and a lot of friends were like, so much of the stuff films and down the road from you. Why don't you go take it into the acting world as well too? And it all led up into the pandemic, and that changed everything.
Now you're in Canada, correct?
Correct. Yep, just outside of Toronto.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Canada is beautiful, and it is part of like a bunch of sets for different shows and stuff like that. I used to be a fan of Once Upon a Time, and I believe they were in an area in Canada, like a small little town off the side. But yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful country. I'm actually going to show a little bit of your work that I picked up. So, of course, I mentioned Strange New Worlds, Under the Cloak of War, Section 31. And then I mentioned Trap, Thanksgiving, and The Boys. Now, Trap is new. I know you were mentioning about that. You play like a security officer or an actual, like a cop, a policeman?
Correct. Yep. I play Officer Duff.
Awesome. So, I wanted to mention the couple, and we'll talk more about this, but let's first jump into Trek real quick. So you have been a fan since you were a kid, because I remember a photo you dressed as Data for Halloween. And so I think it's safe to say that TNG is your Trek. And what got you to love the franchise?
I've always been, a kid growing up thinking of what the future could look like and hopefully becomes like. And I was a big Star Wars fan as well too, growing up. So just getting into both franchises, just absolutely special. I think my first ever Star Trek movie was actually First Contact. And that I can't remember if I ever saw Generations in theaters. I don't remember, but First Contact I vividly remember. And I think my first TNG episode I remember was just before the Best of Both Worlds. I forget exactly which episode. But yeah, Best of Both Worlds, that's when I was really starting to mature and get into the franchise, and what a season that was, right?
What a season, what a finale, especially with Riker saying fire. I was not watching it at that time, but my husband was as a child, and he said it was the longest 3.5 months of his life.
Remember those days in media? Yep.
I miss those days of me. How funny how we were like, oh, it's horrible that we have to wait a week at a time and then 3 months. And now it's been, what, a year and a half just to get 10 episodes of Strange New Worlds. Oh, have times have changed.
Sadly, the strikes did not help, or probably would have come out sooner. But yeah, let's hope for season 3 shortly.
Yes, I'm excited for that. Now, okay, you're on Crusher Combo. Okay, so I gotta ask. Are you a Beverly Crusher fan? And if you are there any favorites that stick out in your mind when it comes to her character?
Yeah, she's a great actress. I think my first ever thing that I saw with Gates McFadden I think it was The Hunt for Red October, her small little cameo she did in The Hunt for Red October.
The 2.5 seconds little moment.
It's just like my life, right? Exactly. Yeah, she's great, and I loved what they did with her in season 3 of Picard. Um, oof, my favorite episode of hers. It might have been oh my God, what was that episode of with her and Finn? Remember the when she gets kidnapped by those terrorists?
Oh, high ground. I'm like, Finn,
Yep.
yes, high ground. That was season 3.
And she did. I like. Don't get me wrong. I like Pulaski as well too. Remember her more from the original series. But Gates McFadden, she did. She was fantastic. That whole casting for TNG was just spot on, perfect.
Oh, I mean, what does LeVar Burton say? It was lightning in a bottle, you know? The one thing I know people kind of go back and forth with Gene Roddenberry, but there was one thing that he knew how to do good was cast.
Yeah.
Just he did with, the original series and the next generation. And he fought.
Yeah.
He kept calling her and saying, "Are you sure?" She's like, "No, I don't want it." And they called. It's like, "Are you sure?" And I think it's like 3 times, and she's like, "Fine, I'll take the, I'll take the job."
Yeah, like the studios almost didn't want a bald captain, right? And look how that turned out.
That was Gene's problem. He was like, "I don't like it. Let's put some hair on him." But I think it was,
Let's not keep that.
yeah, I can't remember. I think it was Justman who was just kind of like, "No, no, no, you're gonna like this guy," and he was right.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I hear from especially people who had grown up with the show is that like Beverly's character was a very like mom to them in some ways, and enjoyed that kind of side of her character. Now fast forwarding a little bit here because you, like I said, you were on Strange New Worlds and Section 31. So what was your reaction when you booked Strange New Worlds? Did you faint?
So
Did you
like I was
like freak out?
it was hard keeping that a secret for so long, especially with with the strikes and everything. It just kept pushing everything later and later. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
hard with a non-disclosure. It really was. Like I was saying in the other podcasts with everyone else, originally I was supposed to play an Orion in that Rigel 7 episode of season 2.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Are you upset you didn't get the role or
No, I'm kind of glad I didn't because they didn't really show up in that episode. So
there you
that's, I
go.
guess, perfect. I remember seeing casting emails as well too for tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Um, but it was looking for like passerbys when they're walking in downtown Toronto with Pike and um, them as well too. But I saw like the weather forecast. I'm like, no, it was doing out exterior in the middle of Canadian winters is not fun at all.
Right.
And then I had issues with my other previous job because I worked corporate, right? So it was hard trying to get scheduling. It was during the pandemic, so everything was just all over the place. And luckily, I ended up being a Black Ops Federation soldier for one of the greatest episodes of Star Trek.
It was brilliant. I was lucky to I've been able to do streamers for 3 episodes, 1 episode for Picard and then 2 for Strange New Worlds, and it was and one of them was Under the Cloak of War. And it was funny because it was such a contrast because we got those old scientists and like back to back complete opposite episodes. But
Yep.
this one was so just like the
Dark.
after dark and the aftermath of war. This had
Yep.
been years, and the stuff that Babs was brilliant with
Hmm.
Mbanga and showing that side and where like Chapel comes from and stuff like that. It was a really really well done episode. Um, Now, do you have like maybe any stories you could share like while you were on set?
I'll also say in with season 2 as well too. Like you were just saying, every episode went from different tones. Like it was not every episode was almost different. In that, I think that's what's made Strange New World so special is you could go from a complete comedy episode to one of the darkest episodes ever written in Star Trek. Right? It's just a testament to how good that show has been written, directed, everything, and it's such an honor to be a part of that series. Lots of moments. Like I remember even walking up, I didn't know exactly what I was going to play, So, you're in a kid in a candy store when you're walking into the wardrobe departments. Because you're seeing all the red uniforms, the gold uniforms, the white uniforms. Then this is, like I was saying in the other shows as well too. This is the real deal. These are the real Starfleet costumes, insignias up on the mood boards and everything. Like I was just losing my stuff. Like it's every kid's dream to walk in, let alone to actually be on the set, but to see all the wardrobe and everything, it was an experience I'll never forget. Even when I did Section 31, I still went back to just that wardrobe department in Stranger Worlds because we've all grown up with the original series and the other previous series. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm actually here. And then when I saw that, no matter how inaccurate that USS Enterprise badge is on that sleeve of my shoulder, I will still hold it down that I was a crew member of the USS Enterprise, and I may have let out a few swear words when I saw that because I was not expecting that.
Awesome. One thing that I've noticed, especially with the showrunners now, like even Terry and Aaron, and of course even like Mike McMahon, you guys are all fans of the show, and you guys are carrying that torch. So here you guys, you grew up with this franchise, you grew up with these characters, and like even the Enterprise is a character in its own, and then you actually got to be in it. I think even Terry, when they built the Enterprise D, he was just like, oh my gosh.
That's
Now
our childhoods. That's our childhoods, right?
your childhood's coming to life. Now, from Strange New Worlds, though, you got to work with the amazing Michelle Yeoh and the great cast of Section 31. So, how was it on set, and how, when you got the job and everything like that, and how different was it from being from Strange New Worlds to Section 31?
It definitely different because we weren't in COVID times anymore, so it felt weird being back on a Star Trek set and not having to worry about masks and all
COVID
that
test.
stuff, COVID tests and everything that we all had to deal with. And it felt unique as well too because I love those mirror universe episodes from the original series, Enterprise, Deep Space Nine. So it felt so cool to actually put on that finally will put on a real Terran outfit because I played Michelle Yeoh's bodyguard. And then I also played one of the Terran honor guards. And I was just nerding out and everybody knew because, a lot of us work on different sets. So you get to you get to notice a lot of the crew and they remember you as well too, right? So they all knew I was a big Star Trek fan. So a lot of the times, when I wasn't filming on set, they let me go walk around, the sets of the other stuff as well too. So it was really cool getting to see all the other, the bridge sets for Section 31 and everything. And I'm like, it's just soak it in because to go on Star Trek once is an honor. To go back now multiple times,
Yeah.
cherish it, right?
Right, exactly. Now, in in the green room, you were mentioning about the costumes, and so you were saying that was it the Terran, was it the bodyguard, or the other one that was
The
not as
Terran ones.
comfortable, or the Terran one?
Just like Marina Sirtis said in that behind the scenes documentary, Star Trek our uniforms are meant for looks, not comfort. They are definitely not built for comfort at all. Um, yeah, it's an honor to wear it, but my God, are they? Especially me, I'm top heavy too in my chest, so a lot of stuff they have to pin backwards just to get it just to fit on me properly. So those Terran Guard honor outfits were quite the challenge to put on and get out of.
Did you say it smelled like paint? Is that what you said?
They definitely had an odor to them, and they
Well, they
were
look like
very
it because they're hard. They looked hard, like it was a piece. It wasn't like cloth.
full leather,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Oh,
And they
wow.
were they were a challenge to get on and off when you have to go to the washroom. Usually you had to get the crew members to help you.
I think one of the guys, oh gosh, what did he play? He played like basically he was half Borg.
Oh, Rob
A char
Kaczynski, right?
Yes, and he basically saying like that whole outfit was horrible to wear the entire time.
Yeah, I'm
Um
just watching him right now in Section 31. Yep.
I'm sure it was not comfortable. Um, but yeah, I just think that, for you, I think it's like, wow, like you just said, I got not only did I get to do it once, but I got to do it twice. Now, would you hope to be like in maybe Starfleet Academy or another Star Trek franchise, maybe a Beverly Crusher show? I don't know if we ever get it, Legacy.
I always wished Picard season three filmed in Canada. Unfortunately, it did not. That would have been the tipping of that would have been just the icing on the cake to be in that series because how amazing that series ended out. But you never know, right? Life can change quickly, and let's hope. I'd love to go back for season four or season five of Strange New Worlds. Um, you never know if you don't try, right?
Exactly, exactly. Now let's jump from Trek to a couple of your other uh drawing a blank here. Your other works. There we go. Jumping from Trek to
Too
your
much.
other works. Too much. Yeah. Now it was so funny because my daughter's into horror right now. She's 16. So she's in that age. And so I asked her,
Yep.
I was like, "Hey, did you ever watch Thanksgiving?" And she was like, "Oh yeah, it was fire." So kudos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
So
I love that was my first ever horror movie, and I grew up watching, and I still watch to this day when AMC Fear Fest comes out. I still watch the Halloween series, top to bottom, and just being a part of that, I'm like, this is my first horror movie, and it did really, really well too. I'm like,
yes.
hell yeah.
Well, one of the it's kind of funny because I was telling her like I'm a millennial, so I was like I grew up with, of course, the old school horror movies and Stephen King, but like Final Destination, and of course Scream, and what did you do last summer? Or I know what you did last summer, and so I told my daughter though I was like 13 Ghosts was peak, and I stopped watching horror after that because I was like I don't want it to ruin the moment. But tell me about your experience on set with the movie and even also on your time on Trap, because that was the other movie that you did as that officer.
Oh, I loved. Like I'll stay with Thanksgiving at the moment. Just like I said, Thanksgiving was my first ever horror movie that I ever got to work on, and I absolutely loved it. Like we did some nights on that set because again, they were filming the Right Mars stuff for the Black Friday sale, right? Um, and this was I think my first ever night shoots that I ever did, so I didn't know better, and I was just consuming caffeine left, right, and center just to stay awake. Um, and they were. I remember actually because I think I fell asleep on one of the comfortable couches they had there. It was an experience. I loved it. We had a lot of PG there to help with the scenes as well too, and just being around Eli Roth. Eli Roth is a horror icon, and he's done some amazing films. So just being around him and the rest of the cast as well too is it was truly special. I was bummed that I didn't get a death scene. Hopefully, if Thanksgiving 2 comes back here and films here, hopefully they remember. Oh, there's that security guard.
Let's go. Let's get him out. Usually the security guard is the first to go, so I'm surprised they broke
I know,
tradition.
right? And if you're going to be in a horror movie, you might as well get one hell of a death scene.
You might as well. But right now you're doing pretty good. You survived the Terran Empire and the War of Jakal, and now Thanksgiving. What about your time on Trap?
Trap was fun. Trap was a blessing because it was filmed during the strikes, but M. Night had the ability and the, okay to film during the strikes. So I was honored to even have a job then. The cast and crew were great. We did a lot of continuity with that show because again, we were heavily involved in the concert scenes. Um, M. Night was amazing. The whole crew were great. I can't. Josh Hartnett was amazing as well too. I wish he got more credit for his performance. I think he did a great job. Hopefully, if they do a sequel, him come back and do more because I thought he was definitely the standout of the movie. But I remember the funniest moment I had with M. Night is when we were doing the hallway scene. He told me, "Hey, David, stop walking like the Terminator." I'm
You're
like,
like, is
that's
that a
the one.
compliment
That's the
or
one critique. That the one critique I get from M. Night Shyamalan. He calls me the Terminator.
you can't get any better than that?
You stand out clearly. Yeah, exactly.
Clearly you do. I told my daughter, I was all like, since she's in her little horror fix, I was like, you should watch Trap. She's like, I don't know. That looks like it's gonna mess with me. I was like, well, M. Night movies usually do. So
Yeah, exactly. The food that they always gave everyone is always top notch as well too. You spend so much time around the cast crew, right? They trust you. I loved it. A lot of people enjoyed Trap. Um, I enjoyed every minute of it. I was supposed to be a SWAT as well too, as you've seen in previous photos, but they didn't use me as SWAT. I'm like, yeah.
gosh darn it. Now, is there any dream job you hope to land someday, or do you just take it a day at a time?
Now I've been in one franchise. I want to be a Jedi in the other one.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah, you got it. You
um,
can't do one without doing the other, right?
that is very true. Would you do Doctor
Or
Who?
s- I my it's funny because my family are all British born. I never really got into the Doctor Who franchise, but would jump at the chance of getting into the Bond franchise because I always grew up idolizing James Bond, so I would love to be in that franchise.
That would be great. Yeah. Aren't they supposed to be announcing the new Bond here soon? I feel like.
I
Maybe
hope
they've
so.
been saying that
I
forever.
It's hard, right? 'Cause how do you outdo what Daniel Craig just did,
Right. Yeah.
right?
My husband's a huge Bond fan, so he has the whole collection.
If they do any spin-offs, maybe they might need a Canadian double O agent, right?
You're like, I'm game. I'll do it.
Hmm.
Um, now, is there any actors you hope to work with one day?
I want to work with my buddy Michael Chan. Shout out to Michael Chan from season 4 of Star Trek Discovery. Um, my good buddy, also from Toronto. Um, Favorite actors.
Maybe Gates
I would
McFadden?
always Gates McFadden, exactly. I always wish I could have been worked with like Anthony Hopkins. I love the Silence of the Lambs series. I would have loved to have been in that with him.
Yeah.
Even just a small cameo. I've been with Michelle Yeoh. I've been on set with Nicolas Cage, Adam Sandler, um, so many great actors and actresses so far. Um, you never know, right? Who knows what the future may hold?
Yeah. Now you were on The Boys.
Season 4,
What?
yep.
Yeah. So, what character did you play on that?
Gee, what am I always? A cop? A cop. So I played as a police
Technically.
officer. Exactly. I was a police officer, and then I was actually one of the presidential politicians in the opening scenes of season 4, the first episode.
Oh, okay. I don't watch The Boys, and it's just not that I don't have time to watch series. It's just I also don't have every streaming service that they have out there. So if I don't have the streaming service, I'm not going to watch the show. Did you have any scenes with like Jack Quaid or Carl or any
Yeah,
actors?
yeah, I did. So I actually did with Ryan and Homelander in the first episode because they walk in and on us, and then the camera pans to me and my buddy Dylan for a few moments as well too. And then when I play police officer, in one of the future episodes, I think it was episode 3 and 4. Um, I play a police officer with Huey, Starlight, and the rest of the gang, except for Carl Urban. Jack Quaid, I'll have nothing but good things to say about him. He was completely professional, and he loved cracking a joke when we were off camera. So Jack Quaid was, and again, he was amazing in Lower Decks as well too, and Strange New World. So definitely a good person that man is.
He definitely has the best sides of both of his parents, right? Like I grew up with his parents, like we all did, and it's a lot of the times when I'm saying I'm like, that's his mom, and then that's his that's his dad. I think Those Old Scientists is literally one of the best Star Trek episodes of like the entire franchise, like top three.
Yep.
And I just think it was brilliantly done. But
It was to take an animated show and turn it into live action. A lot of shows and movies don't do it well, and those old scientists did it perfectly well. So it
they
opens the
did.
door. Possibly, what could they do it with? Like, could they bring the Enterprise crew back and into something? It just opens the door, right?
Yes, it does. And even Prodigy being, they've been able to just mix it well with not just the nostalgia of it all, but basically intertwine it with the story. One thing that Larry Nemechek had always said, he's all like, all of this is story, right? This is the history. So of course they're going to be bringing up about Wesley and his mom and all of that stuff because it's part of the story. Like that's it's
Hmm.
not just nostalgia. That's how it continues. And I think Laura Dax and Prodigy did that so well, and I'm hoping for some more. I'm still disappointed that we didn't get more lower decks. I got my Moopsie here, and Moopsie's not
I
happy.
You know what, honest opinion, I would love, I don't know if Strange New Worlds has the time to do it, but I would love to see an older T'Pol show up in Strange New Worlds.
Oh my gosh, I thought that was amazing that Mike McMahon got her. I was shocked. Actually,
Yep.
I remember
I
listening to the voices, and I was like, "Is that her? Oh my gosh!" And oh, it
Yep.
was so great, so
And
great.
she's old enough to probably still be alive in the Strange New Worlds timeline. Like it'd be nice to wrap up the Enterprise. I'd love to even see a hologram of Captain Archer show up. It's like just finish the Enterprise story, right?
Finish the Enterprise story, and like it said, it's not just nostalgia, it's part of the story. Now, is there any Star Trek like alien you wanted ever want to play?
Of course. I want to play Klingon just once, damn it.
Even with all the
Let me be a
prosthetics?
Klingon. I will just let me play a Klingon once. I was hoping to hell that stranger that under the cloak of war I was going to play a Klingon. Of course not, but
You were so close.
once, just once, let me be a Klingon.
Yes. I mean, you never know, right?
Obviously, I can't play a Romulan. I'm too big, too muscular, and Romulans are very petite. Um, Let me play Klingon once, damn it.
I could see you being a Borg too.
I would do it, but man, that would put the uncomfortablest. I think was it Tim Russ that said that was the worst costume he's ever worn, and I do it. I do it just to say I was a Borg, but let me play a Klingon once.
Crossing fingers for you. Is there
Exactly.
anything else? Like, do you have any upcoming projects or anything that you want to bring up, or is it an NDA thing? I don't want to get in trouble.
We won't talk about certain stuff. What was Murdoch Mysteries, a Canadian series that just came out recently. Of course, I play a cop in that as well too. But Murdoch Mysteries is a special Canadian series because it's been running for over 20 years. So it's not very long, not very often you get series that go that long. Um, and that was an honor as well too because it's all Victorian era, right? So all the men and women are all wearing what they would have done in the Victorian era. That was special because I've never really done a timepiece except for
Mhm.
when I did a few things in Priscilla. Um, that
Okay.
was fun and special, but um, maybe a Reacher, we shall see.
Nice. I've heard of the Murdoch series. But yeah, it's very rare to get a series to I mean, of course, we have like what SVU has been on for like 25 years. I
The
think Grey's
Simpsons, The
Anatomy is still
Simpsons.
kicking. Well, The Simpsons, that's like my whole life.
Yeah,
I feel like
exactly.
I'm turning 40 this year, and I feel like it's close. We're close in age.
Yeah, I'm 39 this year, so yeah, exactly. It was special. I've done a lot of things, some things we can't talk about yet. Um, but even just like Trap alone was an honor. I also was a cop in See No Evil, Alaska serial killer episode. Did a few things on the season finale of the Umbrella Academy as well too, and that was so much fun.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, like your friend said, I mean, you're here. You're in the capital of, scenery for movies and TV shows and whatnot. And so it's like you might as well jump at the opportunity. Um, but yeah,
Exactly. Because
David,
we
this
even no
was a lot
matter
of
no matter like no matter what people think of Section 31, I will always be honored that I could be on that. You know, getting to chit chat off screen with Michelle Yeoh is she was an absolute fantastic person. She was always saying good morning, good night to everybody. even chit chatting off screen as well. So I even made a remark to her, congrats on finally getting this movie off the ground, and just her whole vibe. She was completely professional, but also a nice human being. Same with James as well too. Were great with everyone because we had some small sets.
Right.
Just being in the Star Trek franchise is an honor and a privilege, and I am so happy that I got to go back because season two of Strange New Worlds filmed in what 2022. So
Yeah.
that was quite the jump, right? That was quite the gap, especially for someone like me who's been a Star Trek fan since I was 8. So
Hmm.
getting to go back was always truly special, and it's always near and dear to my heart.
Awesome. Well, David, I really appreciate sitting down with you today and having this conversation and telling me about, your experiences with the franchise. And yeah, I can't wait to see what else you have in store. Before we officially wrap this up, though, I'm going to be doing my redhead alert. My next episode of Crusher Convo is with Tim from FSF Popcast, where we will deep dive time travel and discuss my very first TOS episode on this podcast, The City on the Edge of Forever. Meet us live next week on Friday over on YouTube or Instagram at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And of course, there have been amazing announcements with Trek Talks, Kate Mulgrew, Nana Visitor, Robert Picardo, Brandon Braga, and the list goes on as John Billingsley and Bonnie Gordon host to benefit the Hollywood Food Coalition. Follow them on the socials and don't forget to subscribe to their YouTube channel at Trek Talks Telethon. And also, all the proceeds from my TeePublic store until April 5th will be donated to Trek Talks. So please check out my merch and let us make this Trek Talks amazing this year. And of course, the week before Trek Talks, my conversation with John will drop at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on my YouTube channel. It was such a fun conversation, and I can't wait to share it with you. And last but not least, my Patreon shoutouts go to Leslie and Chuck, who are my Commander patrons, and Engineer Mark, who is my Admiral patron. If you want to support the podcast and enjoy exclusive content, please head over to patreon.com/Crusher Convo, where you can sign up for as low as $3 a month. All right, David. So please let the listeners know where they could find you.
So you can mostly find me on Blue Sky now. I think like most people, they've exited Twitter or X, whatever we want to call it this day and
It
age.
was
So
Twitter. I refuse to call it X,
exactly.
but I
It's
bounced.
been
Yeah.
exactly. It's been Twitter for like 20 odd years for us all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Blue Sky, I think, is actor Damon's 86 official. Instagram as well too with the same name. Like I said, always posting interesting stuff and experiences from different sets, and let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun. Yeah, I'm actually really enjoying Blue Sky. It has that old school Twitter feel. Still hoping for some polls, crossing fingers. There's a couple of things where I was like, I want polls and I want like drafts so I can like schedule a post later on because I'm so
Exactly.
busy with my job. I'm just all like, okay, I'll schedule this, it will drop, and I don't have to worry about it. But now I have to. I have to wait.
Oh, exactly. There's so many social media pages nowadays, right?
Yeah, there is. And Threads is all right. But since I already have an Instagram, I was like, I'll use it. But yeah, so um but
Same here. We never did discuss what's your favorite episode of TOS.
who
I know what mine is.
US. Oh, okay. Okay. Put me on the spot here. Um well, I mean, The City on the Edge of Forever actually I was very that's why I'm doing this one and doing the time travel thing. But gosh, I did like Diana Muldaur's episode, which is the is there no truth or no beauty? I can't even say it correctly,
Yeah.
but I
Yep.
thought that was really done very, very well. And of course, I know she did another episode as a different character, but she was just beautiful. She did a good job, and she was just a great actress. And yeah, I
hmm
did enjoy that one. Not a
hmm
Pulaski fan, but it's all right. I still can enjoy Diana's work. It's all right. What's your favorite episode?
I'm gonna say obviously Space Seed is probably my favorite episode, but I'm gonna go for second, saying the Ultimate Computer.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, actually, I will mention the triples episode for sure.
Trials, yeah, that too.
Yes.
Yeah, that definitely. Let's. Can I go expand on that further? What's your favorite episode from everything so far, from each series?
Probably those little scientists. Like
Yeah,
overall, yeah, those little scientists for sure. My mind was blown.
TNG.
TNG, I would have to say, okay, I have two. So there's two boxes. I have my personal favorites because of Beverly Crusher, and then I have like my overall like TNG favorites. In my Beverly Crusher box, it would be attached. And it's kind of like attached Genesis and Sub Rosa, and it goes in that order for a reason. But for overall, cause and effect, for sure.
Great
Yeah.
choices. Deep Space Nine.
Oh, Deep Space Nine. Oh gosh. My man Bashir is actually really fun. Um, but I'm probably gonna have to go with Far Beyond the Stars.
Great choice.
I think that was just brilliantly done. Avery was fantastic. I covered it because it is a favorite of mine. But yeah, that one is phenomenal.
Hmm. Voyager.
Ooh, Voyager. Oh man. Gosh, there's so good ones, and I'm trying to think of like one that really stands. I just saw Bride of Chaotica. Oh, I just covered it, and it was hilarious.
It was decent. Yeah, it was a good episode.
I mean, it's
It
so
was unique.
campy, but it was so funny.
Yep.
Um, but no, there was oh shoot, what was it called? Oh no, I'm blanking right now on the episode. It's where she looks like Ripley, and she has like just her and she's going after the flying. Oh shoot, what was it called? Oh no. Someone will have to say it in my comments, but she had her gun. She looked like a badass. She was going after these creatures that attacked.
Yes, yes, yeah, the yes, yes, yes. Oh my God, yeah, the little apes, the space viruses. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh
Yes,
my
yeah.
God, yes.
I can't think of the name. Was it that wasn't a year in hell, was it? No.
No, that was the Krenim.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, when they infect all the crew members and they have to get that pathogen to. Yeah,
Yes.
yes, 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 yes.
That's the one I was thinking of. Oh my gosh, the name though escapes me. I will say right now, I can't remember the name before I even asked the question for Enterprise. It was the one with the Borg when it
Oh yes,
circles back.
regener. Was it? Yes, yes, yep. Not
It
regeneration.
but it was when it circles back to first contact, how it just all came
Yep,
together. But I also liked the breach where Phlox had to take care, his patient was an alien that was an enemy of his people, and I just thought he did that
yep,
brilliantly.
yep.
So haven't seen Discovery yet though, so I can't give you a favorite on that one. Of course, I already told you that those old scientists overall is the winner. Um, Lower Decks. I think season 4 overall was the best season that they had, but I really enjoyed Fissure Quest when it had the purple data. I think that they did an amazing job on. And for Prodigy, when Wesley was introduced.
Yeah, I think that's most
Yeah.
people's favorite episode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, it was so funny because I binged it, right? And I was watching it, and I was I remember when all of a sudden they landed on the planet, and you see the statues of the traveler, and I was like, oh my gosh, are they bringing Wesley in? Oh my god! And here he shows up. I jump up. I think I screamed. My husband's like, "What's going on?" It's like it's Wesley. And then I'm like, is Beverly Crusher gonna be in the season? But I had to be patient. I had to like watch the episodes. And when she popped up, I was like, and I'm done. Where's Aaron?
Yep,
I
mic
gotta poke
drop.
him.
Yep,
Mic drop. Loved it. But I loved how he intertwined with not only, well, they all worked together, obviously. I don't know if you heard my chat with him, but
yep,
they intertwined with Picard season 3 and intertwined, well, even with Wesley in season 2 and all that and I was like, this is brilliant. I
Yeah.
love that. I love how it just connects the dots the way it does. And then
Mhm.
Wesley got to meet Jack. That
Exactly.
was an amazing time. Now, are you a fan of Wesley? Did you like him when you were little?
Like most people, I think most didn't initially enjoy him. I definitely I started growing on with Leslie with the Traveler episode in season one of TNG. And then obviously I loved the episode he did with when he was at Starfleet Academy. Um, he was yeah he just grew over time, right? And obviously now the fans adore him and they still want more of Wesley Crusher, right? Yeah, it just took time, right? Like some of the other characters, it just took a few seasons to get them better and better, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I it's tears of joy for me. I mean, again, I'm really late to the party, right? I watched The Next Generation in 2022. Any of Star Trek. Okay, I didn't grow up with any of it. But seeing everything that how people really didn't like his character back then and all the stuff that he went through behind the scenes with his family and I just feel I'm so happy for Will Wheaton. I'm so
Yeah.
happy. He deserves this so much.
Yep.
And the fans just being so excited to have him back and for him just be like, because we do adore him and it's just so great that we got to see him be able to do this. I know he doesn't really like to act much, but he definitely loved doing the voice acting, and I was like, bring on more Wesley. Like, this
Yeah.
just was such a great story as the Traveler. And yeah, no, I was very, very thrilled. I was very happy for him. I was very happy that we even got a Beverly and Wesley scene. I was like, finally.
After
Um,
so many years, right?
after
Yeah.
so many years, and even like those little moments where they're cracking a joke, but it's connecting a dot when he had mentioned, are you guys cold? I have plenty of sweaters, right? Because he's like, and that was always the joke, he wore these crappy, really weird sweaters in TNG.
Yep.
But they made the connection because the last thing Beverly told him before he left was make sure you stay warm on those other planes of existence, and he listened to his mom. And it's moments like those that make it special,
That's what makes the
so
franchise special, right? And
for
that's what
sure.
makes it. That's just what everybody just enjoys. It's the quality that they've put into these series. Everyone, that's what I want to see with the other franchise, Star Wars franchise as well too, right? Bring in the people that love the franchise because look how Star Trek did theirs, and look how happy it's made their fandom, right?
Exactly. I mean, I think Dave Filoni is doing a great job even with the animated series. I mean, the
Yep,
Clone Wars is brilliant. Like, the
brilliant.
whole thing is brilliant. Even
Yep.
Rebels, like, just bringing in with the whole, Night Sisters and Maul, and even mentioning the Duchess, and it that just stabbed me in the heart. My gosh.
Hmm.
So, I mean, overall, just the going outside that box that um, George Lucas created, and the same thing going outside that box that Gene Roddenberry created. There's so much story in these franchise that it's just really good to continue that and then bring on more fans. I've heard people like, I saw J.J. Abrams movies and that's what made me become a Star Trek fan. It really didn't matter where you came from, um, but we all love it, right? We all love it for different reasons, but we're all in it for the same uh just the same love that we have for the franchise. So,
No,
yeah,
exactly, exactly. Especially with everything going on in the world right now, the world needs to come together more and you know be a little bit more nicer. You think you thought the pandemic would have brought the whole world more together, and right now it's different.
it's falling apart.
No, exactly. We almost need a visit from some pointy eared aliens right now to make the world a nicer place.
Just a little bit. I mean, I feel like I've learned just from the franchise, right? I mean, I don't think that I was a very nice person even just 10 years ago because my ideas of things was not the greatest. Like, it just, well, people told me that, so that must be true. Like, I didn't really think for myself. And the one thing that I learned about Star Trek is to think and to also learn from other people, right? Because everyone goes through something. And then that's where the kindness and the compassion and the empathy comes from. And that's where we learn to be better people, as better human beings, is starting to just take care of everyone around us, and that was something that I learned. And then even just Beverly Crusher being a single mom, and I was a single mom for so long before I married my husband. And, that's not seen very well. So I felt seen. That was I was being represented through Beverly Crusher, just like many are being represented through Cisco or even through Jadzia or whatever the characters that they have. It's so good to see different representations because then you feel seen. Just like
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg mentioned it with Uhura. I felt seen. She wasn't a maid. She was on the bridge doing an important job, and that was our future.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's,
Yeah.
that's
Because
what I love about it.
back then, you never would have had a white person and a black person kissing each other on camera, right? That was
Mhm.
big no no back then, and
Big no no.
it's the normal now, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
so it's nice to see. Hopefully, the future becomes a little bit friendlier, and yeah, it's right now. It's exactly.
I'm in the States, man. It's rough.
It's been rough ever since the pandemic. Like I said, I thought you thought it would have brought the world together, and it's divided so many.
Yeah. Yeah. The only time I think I saw, well, just even, I guess, the States, but even the world, because we had a lot of support, was after 9/11. There
Yeah,
was a lot of being there. And then it just trailed back of like, oh, back to the normal thing. And, we kind of forgot how we were. So,
exactly.
yeah.
No, exactly. With me, I've had some things that have happened lately, and it's take every enjoy life. Life is short, so go out there and do what makes you happy, right? 'Cause you may not be here the next day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that all the time. Yeah, I'm definitely going through my own stuff currently, and so it's just one of those things that you always have to just be grateful for what you have and don't take anything for granted.
Exactly.
So that's where I'm at right now.
Oh,
But
exactly. I'm gonna say for my own so I'll say obviously my first favorite episode for TOS was Space Seed because look what that led into.
right,
One of the greatest movies ever made, and still the greatest Star Trek villain ever. That's never been topped. Um, TNG. Actually, I think my favorite episode of TNG is Gambit.
oh, okay.
Maybe Gambit, or maybe probably Reunification would be in there as well too. Um, Deep Space Nine would be probably the Siege of AR-558. Again, I'm a war person. I'm a guy that loves action, so that was as close to what I got under the cloak of war.
Right.
Um, Voyager, maybe Timeless,
Okay.
when they crash land and Harry Kim and Chakotay have to go back and change the future.
Yes, that's right. I don't know how Harry didn't get promoted after that, but
Exactly.
good
Poor
lord.
Harry. Well, at least
Poor Harry.
hopefully, exactly. What a guy. Great cast as well too. Enterprise. Zin, Probably when they brought the Zinni in it. Maybe Azadi, was it Azadi Prime? Um, the Borg one, I think it was Regeneration. Um, so many good episodes of that. We won't talk about the finale.
I already know about the finale. It's all right. I've been
Strange.
warned.
Here's controversial. Under the Cloak of War is not my favorite episode of Strange New Worlds. Obviously, it will be a very close second, but I still love Equality of Mercy. I think that is one of the greatest remakes I've ever seen done on television, and it did it so well.
Yeah, that was really good. I really did like how they changed the Gorn with Strange New Worlds because it gave that alien vibe, right? And so
Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed how they did that. You've seen Discovery?
Most of it, yes.
Most of it. Okay. Yeah, I haven't gotten into it yet, but I'm planning on watching the series premiere here sometime in the season. Um, but do you have any favorites with like Prodigy or Lower Decks or Picard?
Um, Definitely Picard. I think like most people will say, I think Vox is probably my favorite episode of Star Trek Picard. Lower Decks and Prodigy, I sadly have not got into. Again, it's hard with my schedule to sit down and watch anything, and I didn't have Paramount Plus for the longest time, so I couldn't watch any of the stuff like that. Um, but No Win Scenario also is a favorite episode of mine. Picard season 3 almost had too many good episodes.
Yeah, it did. It's funny because well, I was just talking about it yesterday on my live, and I think with the way that they kind of brought the Borg, I mean, no, the Borg was brought in way too many times, but I think that this piece, like take out season 1 and season 2, and but this part made sense to me that he would pass something on to his son. And so I absolutely adored it. And just the fact that Beverly Crusher was the opening of the season, right?
Yeah.
And they dropped her like right in the middle of a gun battle, and so it was that badass Bev that we all knew and loved. And I think he did great. I mean, am I a fan that she, hid her son from Picard for the last 25 years? Not really. But I've accepted it and I've moved on. But, you kind of just have to figure part of the reason of this podcast, I am defending that woman to the and I will die on that hill. But
she
even
she
Gates
was great.
defends her character, but she was right. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's all like she wasn't wrong. She may have done the wrong
Yeah.
thing, but she did it for the right reasons. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things that is just like Beverly is a flawed character, but she does things because of love, the love of her children. She just puts others first before herself, and it just showcased her character of why people loved her.
Yeah, and it was great. It was great seeing her and Marina getting more screen time as well too. I've met Marina Sirtis in person at a Toronto Comic Con before the pandemic, and that woman is hilarious.
Oh my gosh. So you can kind of see my poster in the back. So I got it all signed,
Nice.
besides Picard and Pulaski. But I went up, so the whole cast was there in 2023, and I walk up to Marina to get it signed. And my daughter, I told her, I was like, you get one picture. She does not like Star Trek. I will tell you this right now. She's not a Star Trek fan, but she thinks it's cool to be around celebrities. So she was like, oh, I want to have a picture with Marina. So I was like, okay, cool. So we go up and we're taking the picture. And because it's loud, my daughter's name is Maddie. And Marina called her Maggie. And I didn't have the heart to correct her.
Yeah,
So
I
she's like,
understand. Yeah.
Maggie, it's great, love your hair, but and she's like, I could be I'm old enough to be your grandmom. And she was just, and Maddie, my daughter was just like, okay, she's being a teenager. But I didn't have the heart to. Like, Maddie, you're Maggie for right now. That's what's gonna happen.
Oh, I bet. Like when I met Marina as well too. I was wearing a Superman Under Armour shirt, and she even
Uh-huh.
laughed with her person beside her. She's like, "Are these real?" And I just dropped dead laughing. I'm like, "Yes." I'm like,
Yes.
"Thank you for the compliments." Are your are your pecs real? And yeah, I'm like, that's typical Marina Sirtis. Oh, such
It
a
is.
wonderful person.
Yeah. She definitely likes to crack jokes and things like that. Even Gates, like I remember um when I saw Gates, the first time I met her was in 2022, and it was, great and all that stuff. But when I came back, I remember I was waiting in line to see her, and she saw me and she's like, I know who that is. And she just like dropped all her stuff. And there was a guy in front of me. I was like the second person in line, and she just moved all the way around and went towards me. And she's like, I need to give you a hug. Right. And
That's
so she
special.
hugged
That's
me,
special.
and yeah, and she was like, I just let me look at you. She's like, it's so great that you're here. Thank you so much. Cause she knew I was doing my videos and the podcast and all that stuff. And yeah, she just makes you like, she just is so grateful for the fans, no matter what we do, whether it's artwork or the podcast or just adoring her character. She loves her fans. She loves her fans. And so it was a special moment. And then she was like, oh, is this your family? Because I had my husband and my daughter with me. I was like, yeah, here's my daughter. She met, and I was like, this is my husband. She's like, you're not important. Like, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. And he's like, yeah, I know. It's fine. But that's just her sense of humor, right? That's just how she
Yeah.
is.
That's how a
And
lot of
even
them are. Like this is the
exactly,
biggest
Jonathan,
franchise.
Brent, all of it.
It's one of, it's the biggest franchise besides Star Wars in the world, right? It's been going since the 60s. There's nothing like these two franchises, and
Mhm.
enjoy it, right?
Yeah, I remember when I told a story when I met Will Wheaton this last year, and I told him a story that had happened between Brent and Jonathan, and he laughed so hard, and he was like, "I love my family. We have such a dark sense of humor." It's like, and that is why we love you guys. And it was just,
Yeah.
you know, the love is real. The love is real,
Yeah.
and it's just so enjoyable. And so we're lucky as fans to be able to have that. So,
Oh, exactly.
but
And
yeah,
I'm honored to be a small part of it.
a small part, well, I mean, even me, even smaller, tiny little corner of with the podcast and stuff, one thing about with the social media is how the actors interact with you. Like, I have Terry
Yeah,
Farrell following me, and I was like, cool, that's great. I'm just like,
exactly.
gotta behave myself. I don't want to, upset Jazia. But yeah, David, this conversation was loads of fun. I really appreciate it. I will hit you up on the socials. And guys, please follow him. He's a great guy. He supports all the podcasts, not only with Captain Quadrant and Strange New Pod and Trek Movie and gosh knows what else. You have been awesome for all of us. So we really appreciate it. And of course, as always, guys, live long and prosper. Have a good night. Bye.
Live long and prosper.
Crusher out.